This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Earlier this year, I got my pine trees taken down, and I got this stack of wood that's been drying out, and I also got them to leave all of the chips. I got them to just dump it onto my driveway. And then there those chips have sat, the pile shrinking as everything breaks down, but I haven't moved it, and it's time. Behind me is the shade garden that I had big plans for. The space was 1,000 square feet. It's quite large, and so I started buying shade plants for it in the spring. I love hellebores, so I bought about 15 hellebores. I have about 15 hostas planted in there. I got a couple hydrangeas that are planted in. There's some really good stuff. Originally I wanted everything quite spread out, but then I kind of changed my mind thinking I'm not really sure what I want to do with the space. I'm now thinking that I might want to have a shed down close to my fence line. Some of the space up here has just been really good for growing anemones and ranunculus this spring, summer, so maybe I don't want to fill it with a shade garden. So there's a couple hundred square feet that's planted, but it's a weedy mess. I've been saving cardboard boxes over the course of the last 6 months, and I've been just throwing them down here because the plan is that I'm gonna smother this grass area with the cardboard boxes, and then I'm gonna lay the wood chips on top, and that's gonna choke out, kill this grass. This is like one of the only spaces in the yard that has some grass, so we gotta get rid of that, and then it'll allow for my shade plants to thrive. Yesterday I did a really big water in this area. I really drenched it because once I get this cardboard down and then the wood chips on top, it's gonna take a little while to get saturated enough that the water's gonna actually be going through. So it's gonna hold moisture in, but it's also gonna prevent moisture from getting in for the first little bit. The very first step that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this cardboard wet. Once it's wet, it's gonna rip up really easily, and then I'll be able to get easier to work with pieces, to spread around my plants, and you know, start killing that grass that I love killing. Some of these plants were really small. I bought some like bare root hostas, and you know, I can kind of just barely still find them in here. So hopefully they haven't got smothered out. They're really gonna appreciate not having to compete with all this grass.
Gets me almost every time in the midst of summer, watching it in full bloom always makes me wonder when we were just kids, bare feet on warm asphalt. Held our dreams within our hands. It happens every time, I wonder how. But I can see my light so clearly now. Dared ourselves away from home, further out each passing day. Gravel road towards the sea. I blink and I remember you and me, you and me. It happens every time, I wonder how.
Getting the cardboard down is a great way to start with smothering the weeds, but the cardboard's gonna move, it's gonna shift. It needs something on top of it to hold it down, and that is what the wood chips are for. I have a pile of wood chips, and like, it's not that many, right? But like the space that I have isn't that much. So I think it's gonna cover it no problem. And I'm gonna get a couple inches down with the wood chips, and then that'll hold the cardboard in place. It'll be a good mulch, it'll hold the moisture in, and hopefully this grass will be gotten rid of. I could have just put the wood chips down, but without that cardboard, the grass and the weeds, they just grow straight up through the wood chips. You need to put a really thick layer of wood chips down to be able to have it actually smother weeds. Okay, it's very dark out, but I finished it. It's all covered, and I'll show you guys tomorrow. I was in the backyard yesterday taking a peek at my zucchinis because it's been 2 days since I checked them last, and I had zucchinis ready. So I got my sleeves on since zucchinis are so pokey, and I grabbed some knives and some stuff, and I'm gonna go do my very first food harvest out of my brand new garden. First harvest at the new house. I'm pretty excited. I love zucchini, any sort of summer squash. I could gladly eat multiple of them every single day. So I planted a lot of plants. I think I have 15 plants in total, which sounds like the perfect amount. Yeah, so dinner's gonna be good. There's even more in here than I suspected there was gonna be. There's gonna be quite the harvest. I have a green zucchini variety, I can't remember off the top of my head. And then I have Dima, which is a creamy Middle Eastern variety. And then I also have some patty pans. So I'm gonna have a pretty good mix when I get this all done. These peppers are looking pretty good too. There's actually quite a few on these plants here. I have to say that is a pretty exciting harvest for a first harvest. That's a pretty big mountain of zucchinis. I think I'll be eating zucchinis all week with that, and there's gonna be lots more in like 2 days. As I went through the zucchini plants, you know, I cut out a lot of leaves, and these leaves are quite healthy still. I didn't cut them out because they're diseased at all. The reason why I cut them out is because the zucchini plants, they can get so thick and so heavy that pollinators can't get inside, and without the pollinators then you won't get the fruit to set. So it'll produce these little baby fruits, and then they'll just kind of yellow and die off. And some of that was already happening because, I mean, I probably should have last week come out here and thinned out these plants when I saw that they were finally starting to bloom. So this is something that I kind of do throughout the year with the zucchinis. Zucchinis kind of, they grow like a vine. They just keep growing and growing and growing. And so, yeah, it's a good way to make sure that they keep producing and you can keep harvesting. Well, I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Today I ran the water on the area to start to, you know, soften and get these chips wet. I'm gonna have to be watering them pretty regularly for the next couple weeks. Try to get them to kind of break down a little bit. It's pretty fluffy right now, but it's definitely looking a lot cleaner, a lot less like just a weed pile and more like an actual garden.
I'm not sure yet what my plan is for this kind of path space here.
Ideally, this path area would, like, I want to get kind of some stepping stones or something into it. It's a little steep, so that like when it's wet and muddy it gets a little slippery, but I still need it like really good because, you know, I'm constantly going to be using this area with a wheelbarrow to haul things in and out of the backyard. So, you know, I want to get something to kind of keep the weeds down in here, but maybe not something as puffy as all the wood chips are. So I've kind of just left it blank for now.
This area too up at the top, I'm thinking I'll probably put a garden into here. So I didn't keep the wood chips going. Right now I'm just kind of storing some daylilies and some sedums that I haven't dealt with. You know, I still have my wood. So I need to do a little bit of tidying before I can start working on cleaning up this space.
I still have wood chips. This went through about 2/3 of the pile. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with the rest of it. If I do end up using it for a path, that'll kind of take it up. I could also thicken the layer that I've put down. Like I said, they're really fluffy. Once they start watering, it's going to break down and it's going to flatten quite a bit. So I'm not yet sure what I'm going to do with the rest of this. The other job that's on my to-do list for this week is to get this little garden area dealt with. So in the spring, I planted about 500 anemones in here. I had a whole mix of stuff and they did really, really well. I was shocked how long they were blooming for. In fact, even though I stopped watering this garden like a month ago, there's still a couple plants that are just holding on, and they've even been sending up these like really pathetic little buds. So I'm really excited about this like up against the house area for growing in future years. Like for anemones, we had some heat waves that they went through. Like it's a really good location, and I'm really excited to see what ranunculus will do in here too. They don't overwinter for me. If I left these in here, they wouldn't survive the winter. It would get too cold and they would rot off. So the way to be able to preserve them for future years is now, when the plants have gone dormant and it's dry, I need to dig them up, I need to bring them in and store them, and then I'll have them ready to plant back out, you know, or late winter, early spring. They are fairly simple to dig up. You know, these kind of like branches here, they're dry and dead. But they mark where the corms are, and, you know, just reach in there and I grab them, you know, and then put them away in storage. We're really dry here in the Okanagan, so just by stopping watering this bed, they dried out perfectly. I'll keep them, I have some mesh baskets, so I'll keep them in mesh baskets because there's still a little bit of moisture left. If I sealed them into plastic or something, they might potentially go mildewy. But yeah, I'll dig these out, bring them inside, let them dry a little bit more, and then they should store perfectly.
Squarespace is an all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time. All in one place, all on your terms. I love how easy they make it for me to build a website with their cutting-edge design tools like Blueprint AI and a library of professionally designed templates. But that's not all. Squarespace's invoicing and email campaigns simplifies running your business, leaving you more time for your customers. And it's never been easier to offer services like consultations or experiences with tools like built-in appointment scheduling, or even create member-only content to sell courses and more behind a paywall. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/youcaneatthegrass to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.